You're listening to Trek FM.
Welcome to From There to Here, where we talk about all 729 episodes of Star Trek, including Insurrection and Counterpoint. Joining me today is Lee Hutchison.
Hello, Brandon. How are you? Are you a pack-led?
No, I'm trying to do my Red Letter Media voice.
Oh, very good.
So that was my thing. Star Trek Insurrection is the biggest disappointment since Star Trek V.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
So, but, one thing I got to say, I'm kind of in a good mood today, and, I just wanted to say I think it's great because my boobs are starting to firm up here.
Yeah, this is the joy that, for maybe others, that this is just an audio format and people aren't actually seeing what I'm seeing, and you're kind of topless right now and running through the Baku fields.
Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. Okay, so Star Trek Insurrection is the reason why I hate spoilers. Okay? And I specifically picked this block of episodes so I could tell this story. So when I was a kid back in 1996 or whatever, and we had the internet on dial-up, right? And I was looking for as much information as I could on Star Trek to find out what's happening in the new movie. And I found a page from the script. And I read it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a page from the script. I'm going to read it. And I read it. And no joke, it was the scene where Troy and Crusher were talking about their boobs firming up, and then Data goes and talks to Worf or whoever about firming boobs and whatnot. And I'm like, this is dumb. Clearly this isn't right. Clearly this is some kind of sick joke. Then I go to the movie theater, and I'm like, that's it. F this. I am never, ever trying to find information on anything ever again, because that big disappointment was actually in the movie.
Like, for me, I actually think Star Trek Insurrection is better than First Contact. Insert dramatic pause here, is what I would have said if you spoke to me on the 1st of January 1999 when it came out in the UK. I was so happy to get a new Star Trek movie. We had to wait a few weeks after America to get it, and I went with one of my friends from school, and we went to see the movie. We were so excited, new Star Trek. I'd bought my friend the novelization for the Christmas. I'd actually read through it. I thought, oh man, this sounds kind of exciting. Any new Star Trek was Star Trek to celebrate as far as I was concerned. I couldn't wait to be back aboard the Enterprise E, all that stuff. And I came out the cinema and I told my friend it was better than First Contact because I was just so happy to have seen a Star Trek movie. All these years later, it's probably the worst Star Trek movie. I just find it so unwatchable. The best thing about it is something we were talking about off air, is the Red Letter Media video review of the Star Trek movie, and it just sums up so many of the flaws, that they all kind of wear earth tones because they live on a planet. That just annoys me. And I just find the movie just entirely frustrating. And one thing I'm determined I'm going to do this on Earl Grey one day, is I want to talk about what actually this film, it gets more frustrating when you think of, I don't know if you've read it, Brandon, Fade In by Michael Piller.
No, I haven't.
It is an incredible book. It's kind of available as a PDF online, where it is all about the making of Star Trek Insurrection from a writer's point of view, from conception to release, and what it's like to make a Star Trek movie as a writer, to see a vision kind of become something great or become something awful, to deal with what Patrick Stewart wants in the script. And this movie could have been amazing. It could have been epic, but interference from the actors, pushback from the producers, really ruined what could have been an amazing kind of thing. Please seek out this book if you can online as a PDF. I know Sandra Piller, Michael Piller's wife, is looking to get this released. It's
out.
Not just,
She's published it, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
She had it at Vegas this year.
Oh, amazing. It's not just a book that is worth just reading as a Star Trek fan. If you are interested in making films, something creative, you'll learn a hell of a lot. This book has been available kind of on the interweb, in the dark expanses of it, for years and years now. And the fact that it's finally been released is something to be applauded. So if you like or don't like Star Trek Insurrection, read this book and discover what could have been. I'm not going to go down much of that road, but seek it out. You'll learn so much.
Yep. And if you haven't seen it, you guys really need to see the red letter media on this. So if you don't know what the red letter media is, this guy like picks apart movies, but he does it as a fan. Like, this guy knows exactly what he was talking about, and he doesn't just sit there like we're sitting here saying this movie's garbage. He actually goes in and shows why it's garbage, because he brings up references. And some of the things that I really love is every single thing that happens in the first duty. And what's the last one when Wesley Crusher leaves? Journey's End.
Geek points
Every
to lead.
single thing that Picard tells Crusher in those episodes, Picard completely does the exact opposite in this movie. And it's, I don't know, like the movie just doesn't hold up at all for me. And I try and like it, and I just can't. I mean, it's such a beautifully shot movie. Like the scenes, the mountain ranges that they went to is beautiful. The live action, or the scenery that they used is just beautiful. Jerry Goldsmith's score is just amazing, but the movie is just weak sauce.
Yeah, it's such a mess, and the fact that, like, I think we're quite lucky to actually be talking about a Star Trek movie that it's landed in our batch here. And the fact that we've got 13 Star Trek movies, and the fact that even one of them's terrible, you're like, oh my god, 1 out of 13, that's so bad. And 13 movies out of 50 years, and this one I would say hands down is the worst Star Trek movie. You know, Final Frontier comes close, but it's got some ambitious ideas that it falls short on in quite a few ways. But that's something at least that aims high. This is like talking about boobs and giving Worf a pimple, and it's just hugely disrespectful to the cast and crew of Star Trek Next Generation that we got this horrific movie. And I'm always taken back to, there's a documentary online where it's interviewing Star Wars fans in the queue for the Phantom Menace in 1999, and there's Star Trek fans trolling them in the line, like they're all dressed in phasers holding up signs, and you're thinking it must be very bold for a Star Trek fan that has just come out of Insurrection to try and tell a Star Wars fan that, hey, the Phantom Menace isn't going to be very good. If I was a Star Trek fan, I would not be criticizing any other movie in 1999.
Well, anyways, let's move on to something that's actually fantastic in the Star Trek universe, and that's Counterpoint. And in this episode of Star Trek Voyager, Captain Janeway is hiding telepathic people and taking them on secret journeys to take them through the space of these people that don't like telepathic aliens. And she ends up kind of falling in love with a guy named Kashyyyk. Let's just call him Mr. Wookiee Planet.
So, yeah, this episode is really, really good. I've said this a few times, and from there to you in regards to Star Trek Voyager, that there's episodes like this that are really good, but it's a problem that they're only really good in isolation. That Voyager's got 176 episodes, and everything's crammed into one episode and the occasional two-parter. This episode could have been a really good little 2 or 3 episode arc, kind of going through that period of space, kind of finding these telepaths, keeping them safe. Then we kind of cut into Counterpoint, and then maybe we've got an episode where we've got this guy on the ship and it's focused on that. It just feels something that's really good, but if it was just drawn out a little bit more, it could have been a really good kind of 3-part kind of arc for Janeway's romance with this character, that we could have learned a bit more about this species, this kind of conflict. I think it's such a good episode, and it's just so frustrating that the character growth and the concepts are just isolated to this one episode. I feel like it's a really good episode, but a wasted opportunity for Voyager.
I don't know that I would agree with that myself. I think I like the fact that it's just in the one. You know, like, it's not that I would like more, wouldn't like more of the characters and stuff, but the way that the story goes out, like where we start, and the first thing that we see in this episode is this inspection, and they're talking about how like Tuvok and Vorik are dead with this other guy, Jaro, and it's like, we know that they're not dead because they're like Tuvok's the main character, right? But it's interesting because Voyager does that a lot, where there'll be large gaps of time in between episodes. And so I think it fits nicely in the format of storytelling that Voyager's developed, you know? And honestly, every time I watch this episode, like, I think that this guy, Kashyyyk, Mr. Wookiee Planet, wants to defect. And I like watching the interplay between them, and I like how Janeway, you know, outsmarts him at the end, right? And so for me, it totally works out. It totally works out at the end. However, does the end of this episode not make you think of the Road Warrior?
The Rogue Warrior?
the Road Warrior, the Mad Max
Road
2.
Warrior. Oh, yes, the Mad Max movie. Yeah, I guess there's an element of that for sure, yeah.
Yeah, totally. So they're like, if you haven't seen the Road Warrior, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert for the movie. And it's 3, 2, 1. So there's a fake out at the end where, you know, the trailer that he's driving doesn't have the fuel in it. And in this, it's like, you know, the shuttlecraft doesn't have the telepaths on it, right? So to me, it kind of feels like a Mad Max fake out there, but I like it.
Yeah, like as I say, like I hope people don't get me wrong. Like I think the episode actually works really, really well. That, as you say, that cold opening works is such a gripping one that too many times with Voyager we think, oh, it's kind of a bit of a lame cold opening. With this one, it's really good. Like straight away, like, oh, what's going on here? Like there's so many elements going on, some interesting character dynamics, mystery. It makes you want to watch the rest of the episode, but it's just like I think that there's just a little bit more ambition, and this could have been something properly epic, not just one good episode. We could have had 2 or 3 really good episodes, and we could have given, you know, Kate Mulgrew even something even more juicier to dive into. She gets a lot to do here, but that relationship, if we gave that a kind of whole episode to itself, as a kind of the third part, you know, the second part all about the kind of going through that period of space, the first part maybe finding the telepaths, yeah, it might have taken away from how amazing Counterpoint is as a one-off episode, but I think it could have been something pretty special. But maybe that's just my kind of gripes, that Voyager isn't that type of storytelling, and I'm maybe trying to apply Deep Space Nine principles to the format.
Yeah. Cool, interesting thought. I never really would have thought of it as a multi-part episode, a mini arc or something like that. So, excellent. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, I hope I don't have to watch Insurrection again for All Grey for quite a few months.
Oh man, Insurrection is so bad.
There'll be one fan out there. There'll be one fan out there that loves Insurrection, is going to be gutted that we've criticized it.
If this person is not aware that Insurrection is not a very popular movie by now, then I'm sorry for that person. But anywho, I mean, hey, I pulled out some positive. It's got a great score. Like, the music is just outstanding, and the scenery is just beautiful. It's really well shot, and it looks great on Blu-ray. It looks great.
Yes, absolutely. I'll give it a positive as well. Yeah, I'll do an Earl Grey retrospective in like 6 months, and I'll have thought of one good point by then.
Excellent. Well, Lee, where can people find you when you're not feeling your boobs to see if they've firmed up?
Yeah, you can find me talking about my man boobs at Lee_Nostromo, or you'll find me talking about Insurrection, I'm sure, one day on the Earl Grey podcast.
And people can find me here on the network with new episodes of Melodic Treks, where the episode that was just released a couple of days ago, I actually played some music from Star Trek Insurrection, because the music is so good. And you can find me here in the Babel Conference, talking Trek every once in a while. And you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Mutala. So join us again tomorrow when we talk It's Only a Paper Moon and Prodigal Daughter.